Off our streets! Nazi scum! 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 Off our streets! Nazi scum!
Like white men, criminal thugs who commit terror.
Of Prince Andrew being best mates with Epstein and being accused of rape and sexual assault and no inquiry. You see, I would welcome an inquiry into how did Jimmy Savile become best mates with Margaret Thatcher. I would have an inquiry into why do people like Gary Glitter and people inside the BBC survive attacking people for so long. I would like an inquiry that brings justice to the victims of the women and the children that have been exploited, and why there wasn't a proper investigation into why they were exploited. And when they say they don't understand why, I do know why. I'll give an example. 2 years ago we were involved in an inquiry into a child inside Hackney who'd been strip searched by the police. 2 police officers strip searched a 15-year-old girl for their own satisfaction. And 2 years later, they've turned around and said that's gross misconduct. We know it was gross misconduct from the minute it happened. So what you have is institutions that turn a blind eye to the exploitation of young women and children. We have institutions at the top of society that protect the monsters and the molesters. And then when the time comes when they're exposed, when people ask, who's doing these things? They say, not me. They turn around and try and blame Muslim men. They try and blame anybody but themselves that create the conditions for young people to be exploited. Who was it that ran down social services and childcare for the last 20 years that made sure that child protection couldn't happen? That's a systematic enabler for exploitation, and we shouldn't forget it. You need to have an inquiry into why you're cutting those services. When you say you're cutting services to the disabled, like the government do, or welfare cuts, you're enabling child sexual abuse because the very people that are supposed to speak out about it don't get a chance.
It's been shown throughout history. So our task is twofold. Condemn.
We're here because there's an attempt to scapegoat Muslim and black communities for crime in Britain. In the same way as they scapegoated the Jews in the 1930s, they're trying to scapegoat Muslims. In the same way they scapegoated black people in the 1960s and 70s for mugging, they're trying to scapegoat Muslims. So we have to understand that we have to oppose this narrative. And after the Southport attempted riots by Farage, people could have lost their lives. They tried to burn down hotels, they physically assaulted people, they attacked mosques, they attack schools, and we have to make sure that we live in a society that can be harmonious. There is child sexual abuse, but Epstein was not a Muslim. Donald Trump is not a Muslim. Mandelson, who went to Epstein's Island, is not a Muslim. And we need to have an inquiry into what these people were doing on this island with these children, and we've not given an answer. What happened with Prince Andrew? We're not given an answer. So if there's going to be an inquiry, it's for getting justice for all the victims and not racially trying to divide people. We need unity when we're faced with problems in this society. So we're here to say that we want to live in a society that the colour of your skin, your religion, is not the determinant of something, but justice for women and children that have been exploited and oppressed. We want justice for them and we want freedom. They should publish the whole figures that show that 83% of white English people are responsible for grooming. They should do a class breakdown for those people who are organising human trafficking inside this country and prove that the big business is controlled by millionaires and billionaires that have yachts and private planes, not by your local people. We should prove that all these things can be stopped if the police and the institutions were given resources in order to make sure that children were properly protected, that social services shouldn't be cut, they should be strengthened. The welfare for young people should be given things so they can't be exploited. If we want to make real change, we don't need F-35s, we need money spent on young people of people under 5. That's what we need in order to stop this exploitation and this terrible abuse.